Hello, students, and welcome to the History of Medicine. My name is Dr. Elliot Bowen, and I'm going to be your instructor for this semester. In this lecture, I just wanted to walk you through the syllabus, spending some time talking about the various assignments you're going to complete over the course of the next 15 weeks, and also giving you a feel for what this course is really about. As this is an introductory course, we're going to cover a wide period of time and a big chunk of geographical space. We're going to look at the medical traditions of lots of different places around the world: China, India, the Middle East, Africa, Americas, Europe, and Central Asia too. One of our big questions, obviously, this is a history class, so we're concerned with changes. How and why do systems of medical thought and practice change over time? And in particular, what impact do social, cultural, economic, and political factors have on those changes? In addition to this, we're going to compare all of these different medical traditions and see where they differ and where they're similar. And lastly, because these things don't exist in a vacuum, they're not in isolation from each other, how have some of the world's major medical traditions influenced each other? So, the 3 C's: changes, comparisons, connections. So, one thing you might be wondering about, and that I should talk about pretty early on in this introductory lecture, is grading. If you look at the syllabus, you can see that your grade consists of 3 main components: participation, which is 30%, quizzes, 30%, and research project, 40%. You will see that in this syllabus, I have not given you any large, long-term assignments. There's no midterm, there's no final, there are no lengthy papers, there's no term project at the end of the semester. I am intentionally keeping things small scale, and I want to focus on short-term, regular assignments because I think that those are best suited to the constraints and the exigencies of the current COVID-19 moment that we're all living through. So participation, quizzes, and research project. Let's talk about each of those in turn to give you a sense of what they're all about. In order to earn full marks for the participation part of your grade, I'm looking for you to make 2 substantive posts per week. And by substantive, I mean a number of things. 1, be direct. Instead of sharing everything you know about this topic that we're talking about in a given week, please compose posts that are targeted, that focus specifically on the question that I'm asking you to consider. Secondly, be specific. To the extent that you can, develop your main point by way of reference to particular bits of evidence from lectures or from readings. You can include quotes from PowerPoints or other bits of course content. You can make use of images or insert links or use attachments to underscore the claim you're trying to advance. But try not to generalize. I don't want your overall impression. I want you to delve into the details of the sources we're examining. Third, be brief. Please try to keep your posts relatively short. We don't need mini essays. Remember, there's 29 other people in the class, and the goal is to collectively come to a complete understanding of things. You don't have to cover every single little thing. The average text should be somewhere between 5 and 7 sentences. And fourth, be unique. As best you can, try to move the discussion along. Look for ways to make new contributions, talking about sources that no one's addressed yet, looking at things from a different angle, or maybe even by getting into a debate with someone. It's entirely okay to disagree with some of your classmates. As long as we keep things civil and respectful, we can have intellectual debates in this discussion board form. So, also, if there are things that you don't think were clear, you want me to expand on, that can be part of your participation as well. I want us all to be in dialogue with each other. And to do that, we need to respond to each other's statements. So having heard a little bit about participation and seen that it's worth 30% of your overall grade, you might be wondering, wait, what exactly am I responding to? You're responding to content in the lectures, specifically prompts and questions that I have embedded into our audio PowerPoints. Every week of the course, there will be 2 separate lectures that you'll need to listen to. Each of these lectures, they're all short. I'm trying to make them manageable, digestible. They're only 15 minutes each, and they consist of 10 slides per piece. So hopefully it'll be something that you can get through relatively quickly. Some of the lectures are designed to give you an introduction to the particular theory or methodology or conceptual tool that we're working with that week. And some of the lectures provide more in terms of historical content to actually give you knowledge about the specific medical tradition or disease or whatever it is that we're learning about that week. But in a typical week, we will have 2 separate discussions, one devoted to each of the lectures and also some of our readings as well. So when you're going through the lectures, please be sure to take notes because you'll be able to use those notes both for our discussions and for the quizzes that you take. Okay, so now to be more specific about it and give you a sense of how the lectures and the discussions are related to each other and how one thing flows to the next. So here, if you look at the course schedule, this is just the first week of our class together, and it lists the topic, the lectures, the readings, and the assignments. And this is basically what a typical week in history of medicine looks like in the course schedule. It will begin with a lecture, in this case, lecture 1A, what is the history of medicine. The first thing that you'll do in the week, hopefully on Monday or so, is listen through that 15-minute lecture, take some notes on it, and then once you've had some time to think about it for a while, you head over to our discussion board and you post your first response of the week. After you've done that, you head over and listen to the second of the week's 15-minute lectures. And again, this is one that usually will give you more specific historical content on whatever it is we're studying that week. You do the same thing with this one, though. You listen to it, you watch it, you take some notes. After 15 minutes, you think about it, and then sometimes there might be an additional article that this second lecture is designed to set up. You might have to go then read that article, as is the case in week 1. And once you've put all of these things together, finally then you're ready to return to the discussion board for our second and final discussion of the week. So if you make one post for each of these 2 discussions, and they are good, following the guidelines that I just laid out, you'll do really well with everything. That's what a typical week in history of medicine looks like, if I were to put together a flow chart. I hope that helps. So what about the lectures? The lectures are going to be available in a number of different places, specifically Instagram, YouTube, and Moodle. The lectures are available both for download and for streaming. I'm trying to come up with as many ways to give you access to this content as possible. On the screen here, you can see I've already uploaded the first lecture of the semester to Instagram. It's a lecture that's just titled, What is the History of Medicine? And if you follow me on Instagram, my account name is Dr_Elliot_Bowen. You could right now go in and have a listen to this lecture. It's 15 minutes, just like all the other ones. You could stream it, you could download it. And let's say, for example, we're in week 1 and you've just done those things and you're wondering, okay, now I'm ready to make my comments. I'm ready to earn my participation credit for the week. So what do? If you haven't used Instagram before, this might prove helpful. Even if you haven't, it helps to know. You simply click on the link where it says the title of the lecture. And once you do that, you'll see a new page open up, which gives you a text field where you can add your comment. And all you have to do is, using your keyboard, your phone, whatever it is, type in your comment, hit enter when you're done, and that's how the discussion will start. It's very similar on YouTube, and you can add your comments there if you want to. I should point out that My goal here is to have a highly interactive class where we're all exchanging ideas freely. But if for whatever reason you prefer to keep your comments private, you can do that. You can earn discussion points simply by emailing me your thoughts and responses instead of contributing to one of these public discussion boards. But those are your options. You can do it on Instagram, you can do it on YouTube, or you can do it through email. All right, so the next part of the grading component for the class, quizzes. As I said before, I don't like doing midterms or finals. I prefer shorter assessments that are kind of week by week in nature. Over the course of the semester, basically every other week, we're going to have a quiz. There'll be 6 of them total in our 15 weeks together. All of these quizzes will have the same format, and they'll all be targeted around the same things. They'll consist of 2 short answer questions, both of which will ask you to talk about lectures and readings. They're kind of like mini essays. When you respond to the questions, again, the same rules that I just told you about for the discussion forum apply here. So be direct, try to craft and develop a thesis that directly responds to the question, and then support it with evidence from our course content. On the right side of the screen here, I don't know if you can read this, the print is kind of small, but this is a sample of a quiz that I gave in a class last semester. That's actually my History of Sexuality class, and you can get a sense for what the questions are like if you want to read that. Once everyone has completed their quizzes and I've graded them, I'll give you your scores, upload it to Moodle, and I'll also record a nice video for all of you that give some collective feedback. Okay, another big part of the semester in terms of your grade, we're going to do a research project in this course. We're not actually going to complete this project, but we are going to design it. And it's got 3 parts: a proposal, a bibliography of secondary sources, and a bibliography of primary sources. We're going to complete this in 2 phases, an initial draft and a final draft. You can see the breakdown of percentages if you look through the syllabus. The final draft is going to be a little bit more focused in that it will improve upon itself by asking you to draw on some of the concepts, tools, and methodologies we've learned over the course of the semester. I'm going to get into the details of this a little bit more as we head into the semester. If you want to see the due dates, you can check out the course schedule for those. Okay, so assignment deadlines. Under ideal conditions, I would require that all assignments be submitted by the due date, but we're not really in ideal conditions here. We're in the time of a major public health disaster. We find ourselves in circumstances that are really, really trying. And because of this, if at some point you become sick, or if you have to take care of someone else who becomes sick, you may find that you have to press pause at some point on your academic studies, and that's totally fine. So long as I have knowledge of whatever COVID-related predicament you find yourself in, I am totally open to rearranging due dates and finding some way for you to complete the course content. You do have to get through everything in order to pass the course, but I can be pretty flexible with due dates, provided I have just cause. So just try to keep in touch with me on any of that stuff, and I will happily negotiate alternative arrangements with you all. Okay, before signing off, I just want to talk a little bit about office hours. As you know, we're not meeting on campus this semester, so I'm not having my normal office hours. Like everything else, these are going to be online. If you want, you can always get in touch with me by email, but twice per week, Tuesday, Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m., I'm also going to be sitting on my computer waiting for you to contact me with questions about quizzes, about lecture content, about various assignments. And to do that, you can get in touch with me with the Google Chat app, which you can find at chat.google.com. Once you go there, all you have to do is search for Dr. Bowen's office hours. It'll open up a private chat room where we can have a private one-on-one conversation, although we can also do this in groups if you want. So that's what I'm planning in terms of office hours for the semester. And I think that's it. I think that gets us through everything. Hopefully this makes it easier to navigate the syllabus. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. See you later. Bye-bye.